There we go. Man, sorry. Thank you. Okay, well, welcome to office hours. Dang it. 4 minutes of no audio. That's too bad. Okay, well, so I guess I just say it again. So Bjorn, I use Alfred. This is a great tool. Actually, you know what? I will go to Alfred app, I think is like alfredapp.com. Yeah. So I use this. I know a lot of people are using Raycast these days, but Alfred is amazing. And so yeah, this has a clipboard of or maintains a history of like a couple weeks worth of clipboard history, even images that I take screenshots and stuff. Outrageously helpful. So I would definitely suggest using that. I also mentioned that I use a script kit to do a lot of cool things like upload images to Cloudinary, opening projects, looking up some of my subscribers on ConvertKit just by their email. And even like I can shorten URLs really easily, create new remix projects, like so many things. It's awesome. So ScriptKit is another, here, I'll post a link to that too. ScriptKit. This is fantastic. There we go. So sorry about that. Thank you for letting me know the audio wasn't working. Welcome to Office Hours. It's yeah, read about what Office Hours is right here. Okay. Oh dear. Okay, so coming back up here. Oh, I think I didn't scroll up enough. We got a couple other questions. Okay, yeah, I think we were having a conversation about this. I think this is the last question or oldest question that is unanswered. I have React Spa. Oh, I also said when the audio wasn't working that today is only a half hour because I've got a meeting at 10. So sorry, even more that I had some startup issues. Okay, Spa and a backend. Here, let me say answering this now, just so that they can come and watch. I have authentication and authorization implementing using JOT. So when the user of one account enter username, password, and JOT's set in the browser. Pretty common. Now I have third-party vendor that they're trying to integrate with my system using my existing API through JWT. I feel like I may have answered this one last time. Maybe. I'll just keep going. It has been set up successfully. They're able to access only a single account, but now they somehow get credentials of, oh yeah, I definitely answered this last time. So take a look at my last office hours. Okay, multiple questions about React unit testing here. And actually, let me delete that because that might be confusing. Answered it last time. Okay. I am new testing React, welcome. And I was wondering if my child components from my project that they are already tested, do I need to test them against the parent components? No, if you're bringing in components from another project and they're well tested over there, and then you don't necessarily need to bother about testing all of the edge cases that are tested over there. However, your parent component is passing props to it, and you could be using that child component wrong and making the child component behave incorrectly or unexpectedly. And so while you don't have to worry about testing all the edge cases that the child component tests are going to have to worry about, you do want to make sure that you're covering your bases on the integration between the parent and the child. And so where a lot of historically, a lot of people would say, well, you just mock out the child because that thing's tested, and then you just make sure that you're calling it right. I disagree, and I say go ahead and let the child be rendered. There are exceptions to this, like for if it's like a data table or a data grid or something that's really expensive to render, it makes your test super slow, then maybe you could mock it out. But yeah, just let it render and even assert on some of the things that come out of that. And I think that is totally legit and gives you more confidence, especially if the child were to change unexpectedly. You definitely want to know about that. So also, I've removed some fire events that were making my test taking about 3 to 4 minutes. They were taking almost 60 to 120 seconds each. Okay, that is super unnormal. That is not normal. That is a problem. To run and decide to do them with end-to-end. Was that a good idea? So fire event is 100% not going to be making your test take this long. That is, there's something else that is a major problem, and I can't give you much more than that. But this is super not normal. Something is weird. Yeah, I have no idea, but fire event 100% is not going to be the culprit there. Okay, on top of that, I'm using data test ID because I have only translation text in my project, so it's easier for me as I could practice. No, it's not good practice. You just use the translation stuff. If you want to, you can have your translation abstraction just render the translation ID in place of what should go there, and then select on that translation ID. That is definitely still better than using data test ID. So yeah, I do not recommend using data test ID except in extenuating circumstances. Okay, good luck. Oh, right. Okay, so yeah, so check out support. I can't do anything with any user data on testing JavaScript or Epic React. I don't even have access to the user data. Support is going to help you out there. So, okay, great. Tehran, tearing it up, Baines. I hope you're having a good Thursday. I'm thinking about publishing a Rehype plugin, but another plugin already solves the problem 99% of the way, and I use that plugin as a reference for my own. I could make a PR to the original repo, but I want to walk through the process of publishing and creating my own NPM package. Would it be ethical to make my own NPM package, publish it, and even hook it on my resume, so long as I state the README? Yeah, that's totally fine. What I like, especially since you're saying this is for a learning experience and everything, 100%, it's an open field in open source. You do whatever you want. It's fine. Here, and actually, let me say, answering this now. I would suggest, as far as being a good open source citizen, that you contribute back and say, hey, I added this feature. Would you be interested in a contribution? And if they say yes, then you contribute it back. And instead of putting the package on your resume, you say contributed to, and then put the other Rehype plugin on your resume. That's like just as good. And honestly, that's being a good open source citizen. So I would like that even better. But yeah, if you do decide to just do a separate project, yeah, making sure that credit gets to where it's due and all of that is very important. So, okay, good luck. That's awesome. Justy, trying to track down why with my remix types seem to get messed up between what they are in the loader and what they end up being in the client. In my loader, I am querying GraphQL endpoint with code generated types, and my user I end up getting back and passing down is like this. So we've got store link, multi-URL, and a current user. Okay. Current user type looks like that. But on the client side, this ends up being serialized object, undefined optional version of all of this, which totally screws up my types and makes for all these weird errors where it says created app is required but optional when I try to pass my current user to something that expects a user, but I do something like this. Yeah, okay. So first of all, this created at, here you're saying it's typed as any. I'm guessing that's actually a date. Dates cannot be, when you pass date through JSON, it gets serialized to object, because they don't serialize, or not, sorry, not object. It gets serialized to a string that is the UTC timestamp, I believe, something like that. Anyway, it turns into a string. This is how that works. That's what the serialized object does, is it takes all of the things that cannot be serialized and turns them into the serialized version. So basically the only sort of things that you would get from JSON stringify. And that's just the way that the network works. So the types are not, again, I say this all the time, but TypeScript is not making your life hard. It's actually just showing you how hard your life already is. So the fact is that when you go across the wire like that, you are serializing an object and functions and whatever into JSON, which means you're going to lose a lot of information, and then deserializing that from JSON. This is just the fact of the way networks work. Now you could use something like super JSON to serialize it down to something special, and then deserialize it back into objects that are very similar. This is actually part of the Epic Web fully typed web apps article that you could take a look at. I talk about this a little bit as well. Yeah, the types are correct. Like if you console log what you get back from use loader data, you're going to see that they are that the values actually represent what you're seeing in your types. I'm not sure what it means by created as required but optional. So undefined to optional, basically what that means is for things that are undefined in the object that, or in the type that you pass, when that's serialized to JSON, that property just goes away. And so on the client side, it's not that that property will be undefined, it's that the property may not even be there. So you can have an object that has a property and its value is undefined. On the other side of the wire, you will have an object that doesn't have the property at all. And then that's why it turns into optional. So the types are correct. It's just you're living in a environment that makes that makes this a little difficult because you're going across the wire. So do not do this under any circumstances. This is 100% wrong. Loader data type is going to have stuff like dates and stuff. That is 100% not going to be correct. So don't do that. Okay, thank you for the help there. Quick question from Dallas. How do you do this? I have no experience with patch package. I'm trying to mess around with Vite React app at work, converting it to Remix. Got stuck in this part, lots of styled components. This is the only case where I say it's okay to use styled components, is when you are migrating from them. Same thing with emotion and stuff. Like they're fine, but we have better things now that people should be moving to. So how do I do this? I don't. The only reason I opened up this PR was because I was working at Remix at the time and I wanted to make an example of using styled components with Remix. And so, yeah, did I, to export the reset groups, yeah, so I never actually did this. I played around in the styled components package here. Let's do this. npm styled components. And so what you would do is you open up your node modules, you go into the code for styled components. You'd probably go to dist. Here, actually, you know what you'd first do is you go to the package.json and find their main stuff. So kind of like you may need to add some console logs to a couple of these files to just find out which one of these is getting run in which environment, because you're going to have one of these files gets run on the server and the other gets run in the client, just because the way that weird things like this works. But my guess is that your server is running in common.js, and so you're going to hit the main. And then the client is probably going to grab this module, but I'm not sure. It's possible that ESBuild grabs the browser first. But my guess is you're going to need to edit both the dist styled components cjs.js and the .esm.js. So once you establish which file is being run in both the browser and the server, then you go into here. Let's say it's this one. Oh, good grief. Is that the one? Hopefully it's not that one. Oh, that's the macro. Okay, so skip that. We're not doing the macro. Man, that might be it. You might just have to. What? Okay, so lesson for all of you. do not minify your code that you publish to NPM. Everybody is using modern browsers these days, or modern bundlers and stuff. They do not need you to minify your code. Holy smokes, what a disaster. Don't do this. Don't, please. They even have a .min, so this is probably a bug. What the heck? This is so annoying. So what's the .min? This is probably a mistake that was made or something. Clearly, it is a mistake. Don't do this, please. Okay, well, what you're going to have to do is I would probably stick this in prettier so I can get it nice and formatted. So I could find easily the place where reset group IDs and group ID allocator are, and then just add the code that's necessary to get those exported. And then you can do this reset group IDs and group ID allocator. Where is that? I guess I don't use that. I'm not sure what I needed that for, but yeah, it looks like just reset group IDs right there. And then it should hopefully just work. Yeah, that's super, super annoying. Who does that? Yeah, good luck, friend. Another alternative is to fork it, publish or fork with that one fix, especially, and that's fine because you're migrating off of styled components anyway. And so you don't need to worry about long-term maintenance and whatever. You just this is just a temporary thing. So you could do that. That I might even consider doing that if I were in your place. Okay. In short, we were moving to Tailwind. Yeah, just wanted to work on getting. Yeah, if you can just spend a day removing styled components, then I would go with that instead. And on top of that, this isn't even required to make styled components work with Remix. They work by themselves. You just can't use the Babel plugin. But it does work. So I think you can even I think it's just like a warning in the console that you're getting rid of by doing that. So it does work, and especially if it's going to be short-lived, just live with the warning until you can get rid of it. So I don't know why they didn't just do what I was suggesting. It's really not that complicated. Just export the thing, and now everything's going to work. Phil, why didn't you just do that? I don't understand. Okay. Noob question. Do you have a video or something on VS shortcuts you use? I do not, but I do have this, which has my most up-to-date VS Code settings that I have shared, and plugins and stuff. There are some new ones that maybe I should update this, but yeah, that is the best that I have. I'm afraid I don't have any video on VS Code. However, I do plan on eventually adding something about VS Code to Epic Web, because my plan is to teach people who've never coded a day in their life. And so that's kind of the idea, is to hopefully give people the one place that they can go to learn everything about web dev, and VS Code is a part of that. So, okay, thanks for the tutorials. Oh, that's nice. Got a question. I'm trying to detect if a user has visited my website or not with cookie session storage to save the value in the browser side cookie. Excuse me. The following code with cookie session storage doesn't seem to be saving the cookie on the browser side. If I use create cookie as I have in the second snippet, it saves the cookie on the browser side. So yes, this is 100% possible with cookie session storage. I actually do the same thing on my website. I have a client ID that I set in all clients so that I can keep track of what you've read. So I can only recommend blog posts you haven't read yet. Okay, so the name, yep, secure, that all looks fine. In the loader, you've got, yeah, okay. And you are setting the cookie, okay. Huh, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know why this wouldn't be working. This totally looks like it should work. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. I'd have to have more time to dig into this than I have right now. If you can make a reproduction, then maybe next week we can dive into it deeper. But that totally looks correct. I don't see anything wrong with this. Yeah, that all looks fine. So sorry. Remix has deployment support for here. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, for fly.io. May I know if there are plans for deployment integrations with these things? So Remix supports deploying already to all of these. So the what you're probably talking about is the stacks. And so yes, there are stacks for Fly, 2 stacks for Fly, and 1 official stack for Lambda. It's called the Grunge stack. So we've got that one as a stack. But then like Remix will run anywhere you can run Node or even JavaScript like Cloudflare Edge. You can run Remix, and even there's a template for Cloudflare. If you run npx create remix, then it's going to ask you where you want it. You can say just the basics, and here we've got Remix app server, which is just like an Express server, so Node. Here's another Express server specifically that you get to control the middleware and stuff. So that's also Node. Here's AWS with Architect, Fly, Netlify, Vercel, both serverless environments, Cloudflare Pages and Cloudflare Workers, and Dino. So like, you could run Remix on Akamai even. So you can run Remix anywhere. Whether like Fastly also. Yeah, so Remix has support for deploying to anywhere you can run JavaScript, pretty much. What are some of the best ways to do release notes? I'll give you a good example of release notes. Go to Remix Run, go to Releases, and these notes are amazing. So this is a good example of how to do release notes. Now, the way that they manage these release notes is called change sets. So if you want to like automate some of this a little bit, they use change sets, and I've never gotten into change sets much myself, but it's quite nice. So you could give that a look. But that's how I would suggest. Okay, that actually works out because I gotta go now. We've gotten to the end of the questions. So sorry that it's a little short, but if you do have any further questions, then you can always leave me a call, and just right in your browser, you can record yourself asking a question, and I will record my response, and that gets stuck into a podcast episode along these 123 podcasts that I have published already. So yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty fun. So if you do have any questions, especially the kind that can be heard and answered just with audio, then the Call Kent podcast is even better than Office Hours because I respond to that normally sooner. So anyway, thank you.